There's a large police contingent outside the courthouse in Polokwane, where Julius Malema's corruption trial is expected to get underway this morning. Now, the fiery leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters and his four co-accused are facing several charges of corruption. Let's go live to Julius Malema in Polokwane right now. Hi there, Julius. I understand at this point fences and barbed wire have been erected, with the crowd expected to converge on the courtroom this morning.
And that crowd is growing by the minute, Joanne. As I speak to you, it's grown to several hundred people clad largely in the red EFF colors and the red berets as well. They've been marching up and down in the streets around this court here in Polokwane. But the police, as you mentioned in the intro, quite a significant police presence. In fact, just cordoning off a number of those streets that lead to the High Court here in Polokwane. As I speak to you, there's barbed wire behind me. There's a police armored vehicles, police water cannons, water tanks, just patrolling around this vicinity. But you also have a police chopper that is circling up above in the skies. And to talk to us about that, we are joined by South African Police Service spokesperson in Limpopo, Brigadier Hangwani Mulaudzi. Brigadier, thank you very much for joining us. What is the thinking behind this massive preparation for this operation today?
Yeah, look, we have been anticipating this day for a long time, and I think our corporations had to befit the numbers that we were actually going to see today. What we are seeing now is just a few drops of people who are here today. We are still expecting more people. But in terms of our security, we are ready. Everything is fine. We have not experienced any problem so far. So we were hoping that this will just continue for the coming 2 weeks.
How much of a factor is the political aspect of things in your planning? You remember sometime last year when the ANC disciplinary processes were going on, tensions actually spilled over and we saw clashes around an issue involving Julius Malema. Do you factor that into your planning at all?
Yes, history has taught us that we should also factor that. We have members who are actually in Seshego as we speak, who are actually monitoring the Seshego area, particularly the house of Mr. Julius Malema. And we are also mindful of the fact of the divisions that are there in terms of politics. So that is part and parcel of our, operations that we actually filtered in to make sure that such things do not ever occur.
But how do you deal then with access for the public into the court? How are you going to manage that?
Yeah, well, we have been talking to them, through the media, just to warn the people that, the court is a very small court. We won't be able to allow everybody to go in. Yes, the first people that we're going to allow is people from the families of the accused. And thereafter, once we were happy and we have been given the go-ahead by the members that are also sitting inside, we will be able to see if people will be able to enter. But unfortunately, not everybody is going to be able to go in.
Just a final one then, Brigadier. We're seeing a sense of the kind of deployment you have here, but just give us the numbers in terms of your personnel, in terms of the resources. I see there's a chopper circling above.
Yeah, look, we've brought in everybody. We've also brought in other members from other stations as well. But in terms of numbers, unfortunately, I can't give you. That is an operational matter. But what we can say is that we have sufficient numbers that if anything has to happen, we are ready for it.
Brigadier Hangwani Mulaudzi, thank you so much for joining us. We'll let you go now. So as you can hear, Joanne, it's quite a significant police presence as the hours inch closer to that key court appearance. Julius Malema himself, we understand, has actually arrived for the exam that he has. Believe it or not, he has an exam. We understand it's economics ahead of a court trial here in the High Court.
Very tough day for Julius Malema ahead. Tell us, before we let you go, we have set the scene quite well, I think, with regards to what it looks like outside the courtroom in terms of security and the like. But from a legal point of view, just remind us of the charges Julius Malema is going to be facing today.
Well, Joanne, I've been saying that the charges really, for you to understand the charges, you need to understand the charge of racketeering, which really is the crime of running a criminal enterprise. And basically, what seems to appear in the charge sheet that the state has presented is a connection of the dots, connecting Julius Malema to Ratanang Family Trust, which at that particular point, he was the sole trustee of the trust. The trust owns 50%, owns a portion of On Point Engineers, which is accused number one, that is believed to be the criminal enterprise as alleged by the state, and that ownership comes through the Gilder Investments, another body that Ratanang has 50% of. Once you make that connection, and the connection that On Point was then used, according to the charge sheet, to earn earnings from the Department of Transport here in Limpopo through a tender that was obtained fraudulently. Once you make that connection, you then have a lot of other charges that come through, charges such as corruption, fraud, but really the key charge comes from the Prevention of Organized Crime Act, and it's the charges of racketeering. In fact, of the 55 charges on the charge sheet, the bulk of them are poker charges.
Tulasiwe Simelane in Polokwane, thanks very much for that update.
News that moves. eNCA.com.